Module 8 begins the deep dive into PCC markers. 13 markers across 3 competencies open the framework, establishes and maintains agreements, cultivates trust and safety, and maintains presence. The literal marker text is on the slides because every word matters when you evaluate a recording. The narration walks you through what those words ask of the coach and what you, as a mentor coach, are listening for in a real session. 2 reference points to keep with you. First, 7 of the 11 coaching mindset proxy markers live in C3 through C5, so your tagging here is double duty evidence for competency 2. Second, consistently demonstrated at PCC level means a through line across the session, not a single strong moment. Hear the markers as a behavioral grammar. Words ICF chose precisely. The verbs do most of the work. Invites, acknowledges, partners, supports, allows, demonstrates. Each verb describes a different quality of partnership. Competency 3 establishes and maintains agreements is asking one underlying question. Across this session, did the coach treat the agreement as a living partnership? Where coaches at ACC level typically meet markers 3.1 and 3.2, what the client wants to accomplish and how success will be measured, PCC adds 2 markers that test depth. Marker 3.3 asks about meaning, why this outcome matters to this client. A coach who confirms a topic but never explores why it matters is at the ACC threshold, not the PCC threshold. The verb is inquires or explores, not states or summarizes. The coach is curious about meaning, not extracting it. Marker 3.4 asks the client to define what they need to address to get there, a co-created path, not a coach-led plan. The phrase the client believes they need to address is doing the work. The client identifies the obstacle, the topic, the territory. The coach partners with that. Common ACC to PCC failure pattern in C3. The coach establishes a clean opening agreement, then never returns to it. The client's understanding shifts at minute 15. The coach holds them to the minute 0 contract. That is missing 3.1 and 3.4 at the partnership renewal level. What you are listening for as a mentor coach, does the agreement evolve when the client's understanding shifts? Are 3.3 and 3.4 present, or did the coach skip them? When the coach renegotiates or notices that the client has moved, that is partnership behavior. When the coach holds the original frame, because that is the agreed topic, that is agenda-keeping behavior. Competency 4 cultivates trust and safety. 3 of these 4 markers, 4.1, 4.3, and 4.4, are also coaching mindset proxies, which makes C4 one of your strongest sources of C2 evidence. Marker 4.1 is acknowledgement of the client's unique talents, insights, and work, not generic warmth, specific recognition of what this client brought to this session. The phrase unique talents matters. ICF wants to see the coach recognize something distinctive about the client's contribution, not deliver standard supportive phrases. Marker 4.2, the only non-proxy marker in C4, is support, empathy, or concern for the client. This is the warmth marker. Marker 4.3 supports the client's expression. Feelings, perceptions, concerns, beliefs, or suggestions, rather than redirecting toward the coach's frame of what matters. The verb pair acknowledges and supports requires both. The coach names what is being expressed and stays with it. A coach who acknowledges a feeling but immediately pivots to a question about action has met the first half and missed the second. Marker 4.4 is the marker that most often separates ACC level work from PCC level work. The coach makes a contribution, an observation, a reflection, a question, and explicitly invites the client to respond in any way. including disagreement. The coach then accepts that response. Both halves are required. The invitation is half the marker. The acceptance is the other half. When you hear a coach defend their observation when the client pushes back, you are hearing 4.4 fail. The trust marker is no longer the coach's behavior alone. It is the client's visible freedom to disagree. As a mentor coach, listen specifically for moments where the client redirects, contradicts, or softly declines what the coach offered. Notice what the coach does next. Competency 5 maintains presence. 4 of these 5 markers, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4, are coaching mindset proxies. C5 is the densest C2 evidence layer in the whole framework. The architectural distinction lives in 5.1 and 5.2, the who and the what. Marker 5.1 asks about response to the whole person of the client, identity, beliefs, the client's inner world. Marker 5.2 asks about response to what the client wants to accomplish throughout this session, the situation, the goal, the substance. Both must be present at PCC. A coach who tracks the situation perfectly but loses sight of the person presenting it, or the inverse, is missing half of presence. The who and what pair runs through the whole framework. You will see it again in 7.2 and 7.3, and again in 8.2 and 8.3. Marker 5.3 makes presence a partnership, not coach-driven attention. The coach supports the client to choose what happens in the session. When the coach unilaterally decides where to go next, what to explore, what to leave behind, 5.3 is failing, even if the choice is good. Marker 5.4 is genuine curiosity to learn more about the client. Not structured inquiry, not technique-driven questioning, real interest in this person. As an MC, you can hear the difference. Curiosity sounds like wonder. Technique sounds like a coach working a method. Marker 5.5 is silence, pause, or reflection. The coach allows it. At PCC, what the coach does with quiet moments is observable evidence. A coach who fills every silence with another question or an analytic frame fails 5.5, even if their questions are good. When you evaluate, listen for the who and what pair as a unit. If only one shows up consistently, the marker pattern is incomplete, and your feedback should name which dimension is thin. Competency 2 embodies a coaching mindset, cannot be observed directly in a single session. ICF treats it as inferred from observable behavior elsewhere. 11 proxy markers carry that evidence at PCC. 7 of them live in the territory we just covered. 4.1, 4.3, and 4.4 in cultivates trust and safety. 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4 in maintains presence. The remaining 4 proxies live in C6 and C7, which the next video covers. Practical implication for your evaluation. When you tag a proxy marker present, you are also collecting evidence for C2. When you note the proxy markers absent across a session, you are noting evidence against C2, even though C2 itself was never directly observed. Mentor coaches often forget this overlap and treat C2 as an afterthought during recording analysis. Strong C4 and C5 work is also strong C2 work, and the inverse is true. Train your ear to hear the proxies as a pattern, not as isolated events. 13 markers across these 3 competencies. 4 for C3, 4 for C4, 5 for C5. The remaining 24 PCC markers, the heaviest weighting in the whole framework, live and listens actively, evokes awareness, and facilitates client growth. That is where the ACC to PCC developmental gap is widest, and that is the next video.